You can't log into LinkedIn anymore without seeing somebody else announcing that they're getting laid off. What the heck's going on? And more importantly, what if your number is next? In this video, I'm going to share with you some things that you can do to prepare yourself in the event you happen to be called for a layoff yourself. Hi everybody, in case you don't know who I am, my name is Brian. I am the founder of A Life After Layoff. I'm also a career coach, a corporate recruiter, an HR professional, and a hiring manager. And on this channel, I talk about all different kinds of career related topics. So if that kind of content interests you, you might want to hit that subscribe button. And before we get too far into it, this video is sponsored by Thinkific, and I'm really excited about this partnership, and I'll tell you why in a few minutes. One of the things that's really important to me and my family is looking at budgeting, and we have done a pretty deep exercise in budgeting over the last 2 years. And generally what happens over time is that you start to spend more and more without paying close attention to it. And it's a phenomenon that I call budget creep. If you're not actively paying attention to what you're spending, it can be very easy to drop more money than you realize, especially in a day and age when we have inflation that's skyrocketing. And as an example, I recently went to a restaurant where I used to order the same thing and I already knew what the meal was priced at. Suddenly, the meal is almost 25% more. This company had clearly raised their prices. And if you're not somebody that pays close attention to it and you're maintaining the same lifestyle where you're going to the same restaurants, the same frequency, that 20% automatically gets added to your budget without you even paying attention to it. Same thing goes for grocery stores. Gasoline is also going up. Car payments now are ballooning. I've never seen a car payment. I think the average is something like $600 or $700 a month, which is absolutely insane. My car payment 10 years ago was only $285. And if I would have gone back in time and told that version of me that I might have a $600 or $700 car payment, I would look at myself and say, you're insane. But that's just the reality of it. The market is what it is. You are getting less and paying more for it. So this is especially important. And honestly, this is probably more important and more relevant than it was even in 2020 when a lot of people are getting laid off, is minding your budget and being very cautious and calculated, tracking what you're spending and seeing if there's ways that you can reduce your spend. My wife and I were very aggressive about this a couple years ago when I got laid off. We switched our spending habits, in particular in grocery stores. I think we ended up cutting our monthly bill by a couple $100s by switching to generic products. We went from going to the major grocery store in our area to Aldi and to Walmart. They both have alternative options that tend to be cheaper. And of course, things like credit card debt. If you're carrying any debt at all, it is absolutely worth trying to figure out a way to reduce your debt in a very methodical manner. Moral of the story is to look at what you're spending and try to figure out ways to reduce it, because you can look at whatever dollar you're saving through budgeting is actually a dollar. It's almost like a side hustle. Every dollar that you save is a dollar that you've earned. It's some old saying, a penny saved is a penny earned. But there is some truth to that. And I really encourage you to take a close look at your spend and see where it's creeping on you. The second major thing that I would be doing is I would be looking at multiple streams of income. And I know I talk about multiple streams of income all the time. I really look at multiple streams of income as a absolutely core component of my strategy to protect myself and, more importantly, to protect my family. And my goal in multiple streams of income is to, once I figure out my budget, I'd like to have at least 2 other ways to be able to earn my monthly budget. So in other words, I have 2 other ways to cover my monthly expenses outside of my normal job. So if I got laid off, yes, it would be a little bit tight for sure, but it wouldn't be catastrophic. I wouldn't be having to worry about whether or not I was going to lose my house or lose my car, and I would have a way to cover my medical insurance. And of course, we would have to cut back and probably look at the budgeting even closer, but it absolutely becomes a critical component if you want to survive and thrive in the event that there's an economic downturn and you're affected by it. And there's lots of different side hustles that you can have. People have this connotation about side hustle means that you've got to be working all hours of the night, moonlighting and all that kind of stuff. And to a degree, yes, there's going to be some time commitment that you're going to have for it, but you have to ask yourself, what's more important, having a little less free time on a weekend or protecting yourself and your family? And I actually consult people on side hustles. And if you're struggling to coming up with them, you can reach me through my website and we can set up a time to talk. But one of my favorite side hustles, and that's been the most powerful, and it's probably my biggest earning side hustle, is selling intellectual property online. So taking your knowledge, your skills, your expertise, your interests, your passions, and then turning them into an online course. It's a perfect way to monetize yourself and your expertise and earn a very considerable side income. And I will say, I speak from experience. You can earn a very considerable side income. This is one of my pillars. This is one of the ways that I can completely replace all of my monthly expenses just by the courses that I sell. And there are tools today that have made this as easy as it's ever been. And my favorite partner to do this is Thinkific. So Thinkific is a really robust software that allows you to build your own courses and websites online that can help you sell your intellectual property. And the nice thing about it is you don't have to have a programming or a technical background. Thinkific gives you templates that you can work off of. They make it as easy as possible to get your courses up and running and selling quickly. And so you can spend your time focusing on other things like growing your business or maybe even spending more time with your family. And they keep on adding different ways for you to sell your intellectual property, everything from, of course, the courses, but they also have engaged communities you can set up, and you can offer memberships in the form of subscriptions. So if you've got a passion and you think you can turn it into an online course or a community, I would highly recommend that you head over to Thinkific and check out what they have to offer. And if you're interested, I will leave a link in the description of this video you can check out. All right, so I will get off my soapbox about multiple streams of income, but as you can tell, I'm truly passionate about it. And out of all the tips that I'm giving you, this is probably the one that I feel is the most powerful. Of course, if you're somebody that wants to protect yourself, I would absolutely be looking at keeping your resume up to date. If you're somebody that hasn't written a resume in 10 years, you do not want to be scrambling to build your resume and all the tools the day that you find out that you're getting laid off. Because trust me, you'll have enough things on your plate and enough worry on your mind that trying to figure out how to write a resume at that point in time is going to be the last thing that you're going to want to do. And you got to think, if you're writing a resume at this period of time, there's a lot of other talent that's coming into the market that's suddenly available because they've also gotten laid off too. So suddenly the recruiter, I'm putting my recruiter cap on here for a second. Now we've got a lot more candidates to look at. Our candidate pools are expanding. And unfortunately what that means for the job seeker is that it's actually going to be harder for you to land an interview and ultimately to land your dream job. So an absolute priority should be making sure that your resume is up to date and current. And if you're somebody that is struggling and you have no idea where to start, I actually specialize in training for that, and I have a course called Resume Rocketfuel, and I would highly encourage you to check it out because it teaches you step by step how to write a resume from a recruiter's perspective. And I actually write my own resume and you follow along, and I provide you some templates. So it's really the best resource that I can give you to show you exactly how to write a resume just like a professional resume writer would. So keep the resume up to date because you don't want to be scrambling and you want to be able to react quickly to job postings that pop up. And while you're building out your resume, you might also want to add in a cover letter, but you also want to think about your networks because the network is another thing that you don't want to be building or trying to figure out as you need it. You want to have that set up beforehand, and networking and network building is a time-consuming process, especially if you do it the correct way. And here's a little hint, and this is something that might be a little eye-opening to you, is the people who are the most valuable in your network are not the people that you physically know today, people that you work with, because generally speaking, they'll be in the same boat as you, and they'll also be in a situation where they're layoff or they're left over after a layoff already happened and likely not going to have a good opportunity for you. But even beyond that, people that you know personally may not be a great source because they're people who don't actively have jobs today for you. You really want to be focusing your networking on finding people who do have those jobs and do have positions that they could potentially look at you for, and then figuring out how to network from there. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that have a really negative reaction to LinkedIn. They've had bad experiences on there for whatever reason. And I'm not saying I disagree with your assessment on there are some unsavory things about LinkedIn, but honestly, there's unsavory things about every social media platform that you might go on and spend your time on. But I will say this, if you're somebody that has refused to be on this platform, it is the most popular job search platform on the planet, and that's where the recruiters are. I would at least recommend being on LinkedIn just for the sake of having access to those networks and having access to those recruiters, having access to those opportunities, and having access to the networking there. And if you're not really sure how to do that, and let's face it, networking with strangers on a professional platform can be pretty intimidating, and especially if you don't know what you're doing. And I actually created another course for that, and it's called Unlocking LinkedIn, and it actually teaches you how to build networks with people who actually have jobs that can get you hired. So it's going to cut out a lot of the wasted time that you might be spending doing non-value added activities on the LinkedIn platform, specifically from a job seeker's perspective. So if you're somebody that's a salesperson and trying to build your sales volume, or you're somebody that's looking to go viral, it's probably not the right training for you. But if you're somebody that's looking to build networks for the purposes of strengthening your career, this course is really good for that. So I'll leave a link for that as well. Those are two major tools. And honestly, my entire channel, my entire presence online is dedicated to helping folks who are facing or who have faced unintentional downsizings or layoffs and helping you get back on your feet as quickly as possible. That was kind of it's like my mission statement when I first created this channel. So all of these tools that I've built out are really designed with that goal in mind, or that end in mind. So the moral of the story is that you don't want to be somebody that's caught off guard. Now is the time to be taking it seriously. And even if you say, hey, I don't think I'm going to be affected by it, LinkedIn is full of people who all said the same thing. I never saw this coming. So do the right thing, protect yourself, and more importantly, protect the people that rely on you. If you're somebody that was caught up on a recent layoff, I'm really sorry to hear that. There is life after layoff if you do it correctly. So I would encourage you to check out the rest of my channel. I give you a lot of ideas and tips. Appreciate you watching, and like always, we'll see you on the next one.